Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to recreate this look right here, which turned out quite festive if you ask me. I didn't mean to, but that's just kind of the way that it went, so we're just going to go with it because it's okay. It's all drugstore, it's all Maybelline. So I asked you all on Instagram whether or not you'd like to see a one brand tutorial from the drugstore, and a lot of you requested for me to use all Maybelline for my first video. And then the second one was Physicians Formula. And then there were also some like e.l.f. requests, Wet n Wild, stuff like that. So the one that came up the most though is Maybelline. So I decided to purchase a bunch of new Maybelline stuff. Some of the stuff is new to me, some of the stuff I've already used in the past and I really like, which is why I am using it again. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started on this look right here. All right, so let's get this one brand look started. I'm gonna start off with my brows, of course. That's how I typically would start off any look. And for that, I'm using the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim Defining Pencil. This one is in the shade Deep Brown, I believe. Yes, deep brown. I'm just gonna use this pencil in order to shape and fill in my brows. Hopefully this pencil isn't as like chocolatey brown, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem to be, but a lot of the deep browns that I run into, they just have like too much like red in them, and so they don't look very good when I apply them, because then my brows look a little red, which that's not what I'm going for. This one, it's like a true like deep brown. It reminds me of the Brow Wiz, like the Anastasia Brow Wiz. That's what this one reminds me of. All right, next, let's get started on the eyes. In order to prep them and prime the lids, I always apply a little bit of concealer. I never apply an eyeshadow like primer, like an actual eyeshadow primer. I just go with concealer because, you know, it's easy and it works for me, so why not? Now I grabbed a few different shades in their Instant Age Rewind, the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I really like this concealer. I grabbed the shade Golden, which is this one right here. This one's the one that I'm gonna be using underneath the eyes for sure. I also grabbed the shade Sand, which is this one here. And I actually grabbed two different ones. Let's see, I grabbed Warm Light, which is just not gonna work out, and the shade Medium, which I thought maybe a little bit too cool for my complexion, so I think I'm just gonna apply the shade Sand on the lids, and that's how we'll get started. So I'm not taking a whole lot, just a little bit. So I'm just gonna go in and blend this out with my finger. Now for the eyes, I'm using this little mini palette. This one is in the shade Cocoa City, or this one is the Cocoa City mini palette. I'm gonna start off with this shade right here, and I'm gonna be applying this onto the eye using my E40 tapered blending from Sigma. Just gonna be running that right here along the crease. This is just gonna serve as like a base eyeshadow shade. So it kind of helps get things going and just sets the concealer as well. All right, next I'm gonna be dipping into this light brown shade here using the same brush. And this I'm gonna concentrate more here along the crease as my transition shade. So just running this back and forth. Ooh, I like that. Running it back and forth in windshield wiping motions, circular windshield wiping motions. There should be a word for that. All right, next I'm switching brushes. I'm grabbing my E25 blending, and I'm gonna take the deepest shade in this little mini palette, this deep brown here, and I'm gonna be placing this along the outer corner of the eye here. So I've noticed that the lighter shades, they pack quite a bit of pigment, so you don't need a whole lot, or you don't need to keep going back and back in order for the color to pay off on the lid. But this deeper one, this is like my third time applying a little bit more just to get it to show up as deep as I want it, you know? You know what? I've decided that I want to turn this look into more of a halo. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more of that deep brown shade, and I'm gonna place it here along the inner corner as well, and just connect it along the top. All right, so now I'm gonna grab a little bit of concealer. I'm gonna grab a little bit of the concealer with my concealer brush here. And I'm gonna place that right along the center of the eye. All right, so I'm gonna clean off my concealer brush. And with that same brush, I'm going back into the little palette and I'm grabbing the gold, this beautiful shimmery gold. I'm gonna place that on top of the concealer. And then I'm just gonna take my brush and lightly go over the edges here just to blend them out. All right, so now moving on to the lash line. Now I'm not gonna be wearing a wing with this look just because whenever I wear like a halo eye, I don't ever feel like it needs anything more. Sometimes I do. This time, like right now, I don't think like it really needs anything else. However, I am gonna tightline right under the lashes just so that, you know, I can make them appear fuller and thicker. So in order to tightline today, I'm gonna be using the Lasting Drama pencil. This one is in the shade Jet Black. It's gonna drag this back and forth right under the lashes. All right, now focusing on the lashes, I grabbed the Full and Soft mascara from Maybelline. I've never tried this before, but it had really good reviews. So I'm hopeful that it's gonna make my lashes look full and soft. You know what I mean? All right, so there's one coat. Let's do another one. I like that it is making my lashes look really, really full. I don't think it's really adding a whole lot of length, but I prefer fullness over length, honestly. Don't you hate when mascara gets on your lid? Like, oh, it's so annoying. So now I have to wait for that to dry in order to be able to wipe it off. But oh, it's just so annoying. I hate when that happens. All right, so while I wait for this situation right here to dry, let's focus on the face, shall we? This is the part that I'm really excited about because I did purchase their corrector. This is the Master Camo Corrector in the shade Apricot, which is meant for dark circles, for light to medium complexions. So let's try this, shall we? This might take a little while. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, now I have too much. Just kind of all came out at one time. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe a little bit of this off on the back of my hand because that was way too much. All right, so let's apply this under the eyes. Yeah, look at that. It cancels everything out really, really nicely. Okay, this is a lot. I may have overdone it just a little bit. So let's try to get rid of some of this. Let's just try to blend some of this out a little bit. All right, so before foundation, I completely forgot primer. I meant to use this. I've never used this primer before. This is the Blur Plus Pore Minimizer Primer, the Master Prime Primer. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that, and I'm gonna concentrate this here around the sides of my nose. All right, so now we can move on to foundation. I grabbed the matte poreless, but I didn't know what shade to grab, so these are very different. I grabbed 310, which is sun beige, and I also grabbed 124, which is soft sand. I tried to look at as many swatches online as I could, because even if you go into like an Ulta or like a CVS or what have you, wherever you want to purchase this, you still aren't going to get a good idea of what matches and what doesn't, you know? So that's the only downside about like the drugstore brands, is that they don't have like these testing items or these testers that you are able to swatch and make a good decision on a foundation shade. So I'm going to try this one. This one is 310. This one is the Sun Beige foundation shade. I'm just going to shake it up. And I'm trying Sun Beige because I'm pretty sure that this is what I had when I purchased the Superstay foundation, and it matched pretty good. All right. Yeah, you see? It matches pretty well. As far as coverage, this is medium coverage, which that's what I like. I like medium coverage for an everyday. This does exactly what I look for in medium coverage foundations, you know, like they are even in coverage, but they don't overwhelm the skin, so they don't completely cover everything up. However, everything looks a lot more even and smooth. All right, so now let's move on to concealer. Now, like I said, this is in the shade Golden. And I think I might have to mix Golden with a little bit of sand because Golden may be a little too deep. We'll see. We'll see if I need to do that. Yeah, I think it is a little too deep. So I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of sand. I think I'm gonna start off with Golden and add a little bit of sand on top. And then a little bit of sand. Like that. And then I'm going to take my Deluxe Crease Brush from Real Techniques and just blend this out. All right, now let's set the under eye area. I'm grabbing a little bit of powder, a little bit of loose powder. This is the Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade Light Medium. And I'm grabbing that with my Damp Beauty blender here. I just dipped it into the powder and I'm shaking off all the excess. I'm gonna set the under eye area with this. I'm also gonna bring this down into my smile lines because why not? All right, so now that we are done with the under eye area and setting it and all of that, let's go back to the eyes to finish those up. Let me go in, where was it? Right here. With my pencil brush, I'm just dragging it in the opposite direction and you can see it just got rid of all of that. That was just on top. All right, so let's work on the lower lash line. I'm gonna grab the gel pencil once more, the jet black pencil. I just really wanna use it on my waterline because I really wanna smoke out the lower lash line. So I'm gonna run this along my waterline here. But I'm only taking this about 3/4 of the way in. So I'm not going all the way to the inner corner with this. I'm only taking it right about here. Next, I'm grabbing my pencil brush. This one is the E30 from Sigma. And I'm taking the deep shade from the Little Mini palette. And I'm gonna be patting this along the lower lash line here. And then I'm gonna grab the lighter shade, the one that we started off with the same pencil brush. And I'm going to be using that in order to blend everything out along the lower lash line. Just kind of diffusing the dark and blending it out with lighter shades. Right, and then just finishing up the eye look with some mascara along the lower lashes. Eyes done. Now let's move on to the rest of the face in order to finish everything up. Okay, now for bronzer, I'm grabbing this one here. This one is the City Bronzer. The shade really reminded me of my Hoola bronzer from Benefit, so that's why I decided to grab this one. And I'm just applying it here along the hollow of my cheek with my Luxie 512. This is their small contouring brush. All right, for blush, I'm grabbing this face contouring palette. This one is their Master Contour palette in medium to deep. I have the light to medium, but I decided to go with the medium to deep because I really like this blush right here. So I'm gonna grab that with my Duo Fiber brush. This one is the F15 from Sigma. Just grabbing a little bit of that and placing it here along the cheeks. Just a little bit. I'm not going too crazy with blush. I love skipping blush, and I will just use like a bronzer or usually a bronzer is what I use on my cheeks now. But I really like that shade. So I decided, you know what, why not use it for today's look? It's really subtle, it's not too pink, it's not too peachy, it's not too like much. And that's why I feel like I just have skipped out on blushes altogether rather than trying to guess what looks good with what. A bronzer looks good with everything, so. Next for highlighter, I decided to grab their Master Chrome Metallic Highlighter. I've heard such great things about these highlighters that I decided, you know what, it's time. It's time to try it out for myself. So I'm gonna be applying this using my tapered highlighter brush. This one's the F35 from Sigma. I don't think I'm gonna need a whole lot of this. Just applying it to the high points of the cheeks. Oh yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna grab a little bit of that with my pencil brush, and I'm gonna pop it here along the inner corner of the eye. All right, so we have finally arrived to the lips. Now, I grabbed a ton of different lip products. Not a ton, that's an exaggeration, but I did grab a few. Now, I have this one here. This one is Driver, my absolute favorite nude of all time, or one of, for sure. And then I grabbed these two right here, which I think I'm gonna wear this one for today's look. This one here is in the shade Voyager, or the name of this shade is Voyager. And the name of this one over here, which is a lot more like berry-like, this one's Composer. So I think I'm gonna use the one that's like more red. I also grabbed these two like actual lipsticks. This one is in the shade Raw Chocolate, which is just gorgeous, which, you know, actually might not look bad with this look, now that I think about it. And this one in the shade Daringly Nude. So I think I am gonna stick with this one right here. This one's the shade that I originally thought to put this look together with. Like I said, this is Voyager. I like the Superstay Matte Ink formula, as long as you don't overdo it. Like if you don't put multiple layers of this on the lips, it'll last you for hours and hours and hours, and you won't have to reapply. You won't feel the need to reapply. But if you overdo it, or I have overdone it in the past, and I feel like that's when it doesn't wear as nicely. Let's see here. Oh yeah. And you know what? The last thing that I'm gonna do before I call this look completely done is I'm gonna go back with the face contour, or the Master Contour palette. And I'm actually gonna grab the highlighter from that using my pencil brush. And I'm going to be applying it here along the brow bone. All right, now we're done. So that completes my one brand makeup tutorial. It turned into kind of like a more of a festive look than anything else, but that's okay because the holidays are coming up, and this just gives you more options that are straight from the drugstore. So that's okay. That's fine by me. I tried some new stuff, some stuff that I've tried before. I love their Superstay lipsticks. I love their Master Contour kits, the face ones, because you just, you know, you have a bronzer, you have a blush, you have a highlighter. Granted, I didn't use all three in this video, but I do own the other one, the light to medium shade, and I use it all the time. I still really like it. One thing that really surprised me that I didn't think I was going to like very much is this one right here, this corrector right here. I thought it was gonna be too orange and that you were gonna be able to see the orange through the concealer, because that's usually what happens. At least that's what's happened to me, is that when I apply orange correctors underneath concealers, the corrector just kind of tends to blend in with the concealer, therefore turning it kind of orange underneath the eyes, which no one wants an orange under eye area, you know what I mean? So this didn't do that though. It did not do that whatsoever. I can't see orange through the concealer, and it's completely concealing the under eye area. So this combination, this corrector, along with the Instant Age Rewind that I really like from the drugstore, highly recommend, highly recommend. Another thing that really surprised me that I wasn't really sure about, the Fit Me powder. It blew me away. It leaves everything feeling so soft and smooth. It doesn't feel dry underneath my eyes right now, and that's one thing that I hate about loose powders. That's why I like to stick with certain ones, like certain ones that have worked for me, because whenever I venture out of those certain ones, those specific ones that have worked, they tend to be a little bit dry. Like, I know everybody loves the Laura Mercier setting powder, but that one is just too dry for me. I can't. This one, straight from the drugstore, it looks beautiful, and it's not dry. It's not excessively dry underneath the eyes. So overall, I loved everything that I applied onto the face today. And yeah, I hope you all do as well. So thank you all so much for requesting this video. I do have more planned in the future. I have a Physicians Formula coming up that's probably the next one that I'll be posting, where I do a makeup look using just one brand. If you have any other suggestions or requests, make sure that you leave them down in the comments section below, and I will definitely add add those onto the list. Whatever I see is getting like the most, you know, thumbs up, or whatever I see is getting the most requested, that's probably the one brand that I'll do after the Physicians Formula one. So just, you know, trying to mix it up here and trying to use more drugstore, because the drugstore has such amazing products that sometimes you kind of forget. You know, you kind of think like, oh, high-end is better, but it's not always the case. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this makeup tutorial and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I absolutely love to interact with you all. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.